In this lecture, we will see different events associated with Droppable. Those events are create, drop, over, out, activate and deactivate. We have been seeing the drop event for quite a while, right? We were seeing the message the item is dropped using the drop event related function. So the create event is triggered when a droppable element is created, and the drop event is triggered when an accepted draggable element is dropped into the droppable area. Then the over event is triggered when an accepted draggable is dragged over the droppable area, and the out event is triggered when an accepted draggable element moves out of the droppable area. These two are related to the tolerance option in fact. That is, as the value of tolerance is intersect, when 50% of the item is dragged over, the over event will be triggered, and when 50% of the draggable element moves out of the droppable area, the out event will be triggered. Then the activate event gets triggered when an accepted draggable element starts moving, and the deactivate event gets triggered when an accepted draggable element stops moving. So to illustrate this, I have created a draggable element which is accepted draggable element for this droppable element, and I have also written the drop event. So when I drop an item, you will see a message like the item is dropped. This time, instead of showing alert messages, we are going to display the text on a div element. So this is the code for the time being. Item is the draggable element, target is the droppable area, and status is where we see the messages. And here I have made hash item draggable and hash target droppable, and as I have not specified anything like accept, this item is obviously an accepted draggable element. Now let's see different events one by one. So first one, let's see the create one. So create function, and let me put an enter here, and let me copy this, paste it here, and change this to a droppable is created. You can also make it a droppable element if you want. I'm just specifying a droppable is created. Okay, now create and drop are done. Next, let us write the over and out events. The over event will be triggered when the accepted draggable element is dragged over the droppable area. So let's write over function, and let me paste it over here and change this to the draggable is dragging over the droppable. And let's see, refresh, a droppable is created. Let me move it. See, once 50% of the draggable is entered or dragged over the droppable area, it is showing the draggable is dragging over the droppable. Let me release it. The item is dropped. Again, if I move it over the droppable area, it is showing the message the draggable is dragging over the droppable. The item is dropped. Similarly, we can have out as well. This will be triggered when the draggable element is dragged out of the droppable area. So function, and let me paste it and change this to the draggable is dragged out of the droppable area. So let me copy, is dragged out. Okay, and let's see this, refresh. See, the draggable is dragging over, dropped, dragging over. See, the draggable is dragged out because more than 50% is now out of the droppable area and it is dropped here. Again, we can have activate and deactivate. Activate will be triggered when an accepted draggable element starts moving. So let's see that first, and let me copy this and change this to the draggable started moving. Okay, refresh. See, the draggable started moving. The draggable is dragging over the droppable. The item is dropped. The draggable is dragging over the droppable. The draggable is dragged out of the droppable. And one more is there it is deactivate, which will be triggered when the draggable stops moving. But when we write this, what will happen is that we will not be able to see the message the item is dropped in, because it will show this message when the item stops moving. I will show you that the draggable stopped moving. So save, refresh, the draggable started moving. If I release the mouse here, I will get the message the draggable stopped moving. Again the draggable started moving. The draggable is dragging over the droppable. The draggable is dragging over the droppable. Let me release the mouse. See, we are getting the message the draggable stopped moving. We are not able to see the message the item is dropped. So one thing we can do is, instead of showing it as a message, we can try to write alert. Okay. So save, refresh. The draggable started moving. The draggable stopped moving as a message. Again, let me enter in. The draggable is dragging over the droppable. Let me release the mouse. The draggable stopped moving and we are seeing the message the item is dropped. So these are the different events associated with droppable, and they are create, drop, over, out, activate and deactivate. The create event will be triggered when a droppable is created. The drop event will be triggered when an accepted draggable is dropped within the droppable area. That is when we release the mouse. The over will be triggered when the draggable is dragging over the droppable, and the out event will be triggered when the draggable drags out of the droppable. Suppose we set the value of tolerance to be touch. What will happen? The over and out will be triggered just when the borders touch each other. I will show you. The draggable started moving and see, the draggable is dragging over the droppable is displayed because the tolerance is touch now. So the triggering of out and over events depend on the value of tolerance as well. Suppose the borders touch again, it is showing, see, the draggable is dragged out of the droppable. So this depends on the value of tolerance as well. And we have two more events, they are activate and deactivate. The activate event will get triggered when the accepted draggable element starts moving, and the deactivate event will be triggered when an accepted draggable element stops moving. So these are the 6 events associated with a droppable element.